I'm back.
Every time I walk out that door, every time I interact with anybody new, my purpose is to help change.
It's time to celebrate life. If you know that you're in charge of your life, it's time to stand up. If you know you want better for your life, it's time to stand up. If you know that you have what it takes to be in charge of your life, it's time to stand up. If you know that you are not just trying to be good for you, but for those around you, it's time to stand up. As a matter of fact, look to the person to your left and tell them you are enough.
I want to help you change, and just like you change, every time I interact with somebody, they help me change. It's no different than if I met an individual and they had 4 quarters and they needed change, or if I had $1 and they had 4 quarters, I need to change. We can swap the money. The value is still the same. They still got $1, I still got $1, but we both exchanged something, and it was a change for both of us. So every time I walk out that door, I inspire to help change lives just as much as lives have changed me.
Y'all been listening to the wrong people, watching the wrong things all your life, and it's time to put to rest all those negative thoughts, because you are enough. It's time to put to rest that self-doubt, because you are enough. It is time to get rid of that negative energy, because you are enough. It is time to stop listening to people that don't have the best interests of you in your life, because you are enough. So let's have a moment of silence. I want everybody to understand that you are the person that's in charge of your life. Everything that you have inside of you to be who you're supposed to be in life. You have a destiny, and that destiny can only be accomplished through you, by you, and only you, with the help of God. When you realize that you are the person you are, because you're not a carbon copy, there's only one you. They try to put you in the box. Society tries to put you in the box, but you can't be in the box. How can you be in the box when there's only one you? But then they tell you, think outside the box. What I'm trying to get you to understand is there is no box.
I want to pass on the things that I have to the generations behind me. By the time it's time for me to get called home and go to the grave, I want to be empty. I believe in bankrupting the cemetery, so I can't take this knowledge with me, because the cemetery is already full of brilliant ideas and unwritten books and innovative ideas. I can't take this with me, so I'm trying to leave it all here as Billy Graham Jr. to the next generation so somebody else can carry it on.
What up, what up, what up? What is going on, family? Man, have I missed you all. I'm sorry I wasn't here last week. I hope you all got a chance to tune into the Black Business Expo. It was a wonderful, wonderful event. That's why we weren't able to have the show live last week, but we're back. And man, a lot has happened in the past couple of weeks. Now, a lot happens around the world, especially in America, on a regular basis. But we had a lot of heartbreaking things happen over the past couple of weeks that included mass shootings, people that were victims to people just not being in tune with who they are and just doing things for the wrong reason. So before we even start the show, I just want us to take a moment of silence and pay our respects to those that we were lost to, and the family members of those that were lost to senseless killings, mass shootings, from Buffalo to Texas to all around the United States and all around the world. Just want to take a brief moment of silence and pay our respects to them. Again, I thank you all for that brief moment of silence. I appreciate everybody. Everybody stay safe and keep doing what you're doing. Stay blessed. But I just wanted to take that moment. And then when we took that moment, I wanted to let you know that there's people that are still out there doing wonderful, amazing things. That's the whole purpose of this show, is we try to bring individuals on that you normally wouldn't see on a daily basis that are in our own communities that are not just living their life and their purpose, but they're showing you how you can do that as well. That's why we bring on all these different personalities, business owners. And today's guest, man, I talked with this gentleman briefly, and let's just say when we got to talking, I had to put my hands over my ears, and I was just like, no, stop talking, brother, stop talking. The family has to see this, because y'all know around here we all family. And I was like, they got to hear your story. They got to hear how you got to where you did. The things that you're doing at such a young age, just amazing. I wouldn't do it any justice trying to explain everything about this gentleman, so I have to let him do it himself. He hails from North Carolina and currently resides in Missouri, St. Louis to be exact. I have to bring you the one, the only, the amazing Malik Wilson.
What's going on? What's going
up,
on,
brother? How you doing, man?
What's going on, man? Billy Graham Jr., everyone.
Man, don't start that. Hey, it's an ongoing joke, everybody. It's the reason he's doing that, and I'm gonna let him break part of that down, and we're gonna dive into why he's doing that. But before we get started, Malik, brother, can you tell everybody who is Malik Wilson?
Yeah, Malik Wilson is, like you said, born and raised North Carolina. Long story short, graduated from North Carolina A&T with a degree in journalism, mass communication, broadcast media, all that good jazz. I had a football career very, very briefly. I played professional very briefly. I ended up getting hurt, as everybody's tale was, if it wasn't happening, if it didn't happen to be me forgetting, if I didn't get hurt, I would have still been playing that whole jazz. But, it was one of those things that I say was really a blessing, because I truly got to walk in what I feel like is my purpose. In that being, I won't say I always wanted to be on TV, but I went to school to be on TV, and I ended up, getting that. Moved to North Dakota to be a general assignment news reporter. Doing that whole thing, I wasn't really a fan of it because, it's like you're dealing with the politics and, the mass shootings and stuff that's going on, in these past couple of weeks, which are extremely terrible, but that's the type of stuff you had to cover, and you had to keep your composure, and you're listening to these heartfelt stories every day. You're taking that home every day. And so I wanted to get out of it. And so Lord behold, I ended up getting a entertainment television job here in St. Louis, where I'm at now with Show Me St. Louis. And it's an NBC affiliate. I'm the co-host of that show. It's a morning show. And basically what we cover is all of the entertaining things that happens in and around Missouri, the Illinois side. And yeah, it's a really dope show. If you've never tuned into it, which if you're not from St. Louis, you probably haven't. It's a local show, but yeah, if you ever get a chance, we're on Hulu and all that stuff. So tune in. Show Me St. Louis.
Man, now everybody's already tuning in. Ernest is on there talking about two of his favorite people. He says that to everybody. I think he just be playing with us sometimes. But we got Monica in the house, and she already ripping for you by NC in the house. My mom's in the house. My G-Mom's in the house. Everybody tuning in because, hey, it's about to be some fire here tonight. And before we even get going, we got to back up, because you got to news journalism, but that first thing you said, you went to NC State. You said NC State, right?
North Carolina A&T.
North Carolina A&T. Now, I don't know if many people are familiar with it, but one of my favorite movies, because I'm a movie buff, is Drumline. And I gotta know, being from North Carolina, was it like in the movie where you could hear the drum line playing when you passed by, and it made you say, I gotta go to that school?
All right, I'll say this. So the band has always, HBCU bands are lit in general. But seeing that movie, everybody, connected the dots and was like, oh, that's got to be North Carolina A&T, although it was Atlanta A&T or whatever it was, same colors, all that jazz. But, you connected the dots with the band. The band is always lit. And so for many, many years at A&T, the band was the it factor. But like I said, I played football, and so we had a really good winning. My 4 years that I was there, we won so many championships and all that good stuff. And so we kind of took the shine away from the band, and it became like we're here to see the band, but we're also here to see the football team win. So But yeah, you can hear them in the summertime. You can hear them marching down campus throughout the whole year. You can just hear them, and it's the best sound in the world. I wanted to be in the band. Hats out the bag. I wanted to be in the band. I wanted to play the snares and all that stuff, but God had a different path for me, and I didn't get to take that journey, which is probably good for people's ears.
I'm glad. I was just about to ask that because you said that. Like, hey, you said it yourself, and I'm about to say, do you even know how to play the snares? You know, most of us, you're gonna play the snares. You had already been doing that in church back in the day.
Right.
So you was playing football. You played football at A&T. Let's go back because I'm trying to draw this picture for everybody because there's somebody out there listening. It might be that young boy, young female, young girl that's listening to you, and they're like, well, how did he get there? Like, you played football. How did you get from high school to go to college to play football? Because let's be honest, in our community, everybody tries to do one thing: become rappers and musicians, or athletes, or some kind of models. Like, what got you, and what was your dream, your destiny in the beginning for somebody? Obviously, you're not professional football, but what led you to say, I want to go there to play football out of all the things that I can do? Because we all had those same things growing up. I wanted to go play basketball. What led you?
To be completely honest, I did not. This story can be long-winded, but I'll keep it short.
The people want it. Don't try to cut us off.
So, growing up, I didn't care to play sports. I was scared of football. I was scared to get tackled. Didn't want to be touched.
Hold on, time out. Are you a wide receiver?
I am.
When I was playing football, that's why I got so fast, because I was like, I hate being tackled. My mama told me not to get dirty on these grass things. I just got fast and could catch. I knew it. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's good assumption there. You're right. But even then, like playing receiver, I was like, oh snap, I gotta catch the ball and still be hit. Like, it was the scariest thing in the world. But it wasn't until I got to high school where my freshman year I was running track and I was playing JV basketball. And the coaches for the football team could see my speed. They were like, this kid is fast. Like, the high school coaches are always recruiting, trying to fill up their roster because they pretty much need anyone, And so between my coaches telling me I needed to play because they saw the athletic ability that I had, my dad was in my ear constantly. He wasn't really forcing me, but he was like, hey, son, like, this could be your ticket out, My friends were in my ear, and all my friends were playing. And so when I went home, it was nothing to do. So I ended up caving in. So my sophomore year, the receiver coach was like, I want you to come out, try out for defense. He was like, I want you to come try out for defense. And if you do good, then, we'll see how things go. So I went out there, tried out for defense, and I was horrible, like backpedaling, all that stuff, horrible. So long story short, I ended up going out there for receiver. I was like burning the DBs and stuff. They're like veteran DBs, catching the ball and all that stuff, running past them. And they were like, you got a job, son, on varsity. And within like a few weeks, I ended up starting on varsity as this like Ricky. Like, I didn't know formations. I didn't know how many people were supposed to be on the field. And here I go, just because I'm fast, they put me on the field. So I'm the type of person, like, whatever I get my hand in, like, I like to be perfect at it. I like to be good at it. And it's not so much for myself, but I hate letting people down.
Yes.
So yeah, one thing led to another, and I ended up being pretty good. And, my dad ended up, paying for different trainings and stuff. And, me and my brothers were traveling around and, going to different camps. And A&T was one of the schools that offered me first. And they said the right things. HBCU, I didn't really know too much about HBCU. I went to a predominantly white school. I didn't know too much about HBCUs. When I tell you God's like path in people's life, like, it's so crazy when people say they don't believe in God. Is, to each his own. But my life has literally been nothing but a narrated path through him. And, I look back and I'm like, wow, like, I'm literally here just through navigation through him. But yeah, man, that's pretty much in a nutshell. And A&T was one of the first to offer. And so I took that and ran with it.
You said a lot right there. And I'm sorry. I'm the person. No, I wanted you to. I wanted you to because everybody on this show, all the family knows that one of my gifts, because we know what your gifts are. One of my gifts is unpacking stuff. So you said a bunch right there. For one, I want everybody to know that when you have the right people in your corner, your circle, and everybody knows I say it all the time. You show me your network, I'll show you your net worth. When you have the right people in your corner pushing and rooting and supporting you, they will help guide you in the right path. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people that are just riding your coattails just because they see the money at the end or just trying to go off your success. But the ones that are truly in your corner are going to help you along the path in life. I tell you all the time, some people are in your life for a season, some people for a lifetime. You have to know the difference. But you also said that God's path, your story, that's because you're following the narrative that he laid out. And it's only to get you to certain levels. And it got you to A&T and you're like, man, probably pretty good at this football thing. I think I'm going to go do some college football. Like, I'm finna do this. And like you said earlier, you said if you wouldn't have got hurt, you probably would have kept trying to play.
Right.
But at the same time, if you're still trying to do something that's not aligned with what God designed you for, as you already said, he derailed that. It wasn't for you. It was to guide you on another path. So can you tell people, because a lot of us, me, when I was in college, because I'm transparent, I was on that same path, but I got kicked out of school, got into some stuff, let somebody do something that on my behalf, gave them car keys, long story short, and I thought my life was over. When you had that injury and it said no more football, what did you think was happening next?
And I'm glad you mentioned that because it's when God talks to you, he like, if you just sit there and listen, you know, it can be like the most, you know, it's usually like that nagging feeling. So for me, I kept telling myself like, man, like I love football, but I feel like there's so much more, you know, like it was just like this dire feeling of like, are you, and I tell people this all the time, like I love playing football. It was an amazing experience, but there was always just this feeling inside of me of like, Malik, there's so much more that you can do. There's so much in a different lane though. You can navigate through life in a different lane. And so for me, it was just that nagging feeling that when I got hurt, because when I got hurt, I'll be honest, it was freakish. Like I was taking care of myself. Everything was going right. It wasn't like a broken bone or I pulled my hamstring bad. Never pulled my hamstring in my life. And I pulled it catching a ball. Like I was catching a ball out of the sky during some random. And so when I got hurt, I was like, all right, God, like I'm listening to you. This is just, like, I feel like you're telling me it, like, if you're not going to wrap it up, I'll wrap it up for you and we're going to go somewhere else. And it's hard to listen to sometimes, but you know, if you sit back and listen and follow it, then he'll take you to where you're trying to go.
Yeah. Man, I never looked at it that way. Because like I said, many of people, because we hear it all the time, especially in the athletic world, when something like that happens, you either do one or two things. You just give up or you try and push yourself to try to get back to where you were without sitting down and listening to what God is saying.
And I think to answer that too, so for this TV thing that I'm doing, now if something was to happen and like God's trying to pull me away from it, I'll fight back a little bit harder because I feel like deep down, this is like the passion that I had for football. It was something that was kind of like taking me through life, introducing me to people. It was like a stepping stone. And so when it was time to wrap it up, it was one of those like, all right, like it was like easy submission, like cool, take me on to where, you know, take me elsewhere. And so now when I'm like, I feel like I'm truly walking in, you know, my happiness, my purpose. You know, I don't wake up sore and, you know, all that stuff. So now, like, I feel like if I was to get fired today, I'd be like, all right, God, what's going on, man? Like, I was doing everything right. Like, you know, so yeah, you know, and lo and behold, I don't get to that point, but you know, again, you know, if it gets to that point of you wanting to quit, you know, not wanting to quit or whatever, just having that faith, man, and just believing, just trusting that things will work out in the right direction, in the right way.
You just said something that popped something in my head when you said walking in your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And now I want to tell everybody something my grandma used to tell me all the time. And it was about walking with God, walking in your purpose. And she used to always say, if you don't bump into the devil 3 to 4 times a day, then 9 times out of 10, you're walking with him. I'm going to say that again. If you don't bump into the devil 3 to 4 times a day, that means 9 times out of 10, you're walking with him. When you have those moments, when you're just down and things aren't going right, you think life's over, like you might not be walking with the right person. Now, Malik said he was able to let that go, and it transitioned him into the next thing, which was journalism. How did that even come? How do you go from football to journalism? Like, what is that thing that says that's what I want to do? Like, what made you say journal? Why not lawyer? Why not doctor? Why not finance major? Like, what said journalism for you?
I credit my mom for this all the time. When I was filling out the forms to go to school, and apply for whatever department you wanted to apply for, I had applied for sports science, fitness management. The reason I applied for it is because I'm going to play football. Sports science has gotta match. I don't know what the heck sports science is, but sports is it's got to be easy. I know sports, right? So my mom was like, no. You don't know what you're signing yourself up for. And she even you don't care about the medical field. I'm like, medical field? Like, what does this have to do with medical? And she broke it down for me a little bit, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, let's cancel that out. I'm glad you opened my eyes. So she literally made me sit there and think, like, what is it that Malik Wilson wants to do with his life? Like, if all of this is said and done, what is it that you want to do? And so I was like, I like to entertain people. I like to talk in front of people. I like to, make people laugh and smile and all that good stuff. And so we broke down all the different majors that A&T had, because by this point, I had committed to A&T. And they had, the journalism, mass communications, broadcast school. And so I was looking through it. I was like, oh, I'm like, TV star. I'm like, I like that, I like that. So yeah, that was, like I said, one thing led to another. My mom pushed me to, not settle for something that seemed familiar, and made me dig deep into what it was. And so that's always been my passion, and using this platform. And, you the same, Billy, like, you use this platform to influence people, to inspire people, to share your outgoingness. That's not a word, but to share your outgoingness. Right, we're making it the word today. But yeah, I mean, that's just what kind of led to it. And yeah, I credit my mom. Like, thank God for her, because I was about to make a stupid decision.
Now you said something that, I'm sorry, I gotta laugh about it, because I out of my time, I did 20 years in the military, and then I know how, like, when I'm at work dealing with, I was in a senior leadership position, dealing with my troops and all that, and then you said outgoingness, and you're like, yeah, I know that's not a word. Now I have to ask, because I know how it was when I was in the military talking to individuals versus now when I'm walking around now, like even on this show or just talking to people in general, even in the books I wrote, I was like, no, I want this book to be written exactly how I sound, so people know it's coming from me. Not that it looks like it's all typed up and done all. No, I wanted to know it comes from me. Mm-hmm. By being you went from A&T football, then you went to news. Now you're in entertainment. When you talk to people, because outgoingness, when you talk to people, do you have 2 versions of how you talk? Do you have your media talk, and then I'm at home with parents, friends, and loved ones talk? Is there a difference?
So honestly, I forgot this was coming up. But like I said, behind the scenes, when I was working hard news, it was like that professional, and that's kind of why I didn't like it, because it was like this, like, this mask you're putting on, and it's not so much a mask. I mean, sometimes you're talking about, you know, increased gas prices, and, you know, people are pissed off about it. So you can't come on the news talking about, oh, the gas prices just went up $10. Like, yippee. Like, how, you know, like everybody's gonna be looking at you like, what is wrong with him? You know? So that's one of the reasons why I want to get away from that. But now being in more of like the entertainment realm, it allows me to be myself more. Like I can use slang a little bit more, because the people that are watching, like, they want to see that. Like you said, you don't want a book about Billy Graham Jr. and it was written by Malik, because I'm going to 9 times out of 10 write it the way I want it to sound. And I mean, despite you're giving me the words to say, but entertainment is more of if Malik Wilson said it, he said it, and he said it how he meant it.
Yes.
So now I don't really have a maxed voice, but I will say, like, you know, there's a time for business talk, and there's a time for, you know, just your regular, you know, out and about in the street talking to someone random. But you should always be on your business. You never know who you're meeting. I mean, you might have a $1 million business for me right now. So, you know, you're probably just interviewing me in front of all these people. You never know. You never know.
Or you might be interviewing me. Who knows?
You never know. Hey.
But I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, because it made me reflect back. Because don't get me wrong, when I retired out the military, I still had more in the tank. I could have kept going. I loved what I was doing. No different than you at the news. But when I got to that senior leadership position, I realized that the higher up you go, your voice gets kind of taken some. Mm-hmm. You can't say and operate and move because you have regulations and certain things that you got about. Now, don't get me wrong. You can always talk and be professional at all times. So I tell my kids all the time, you can still incorporate yourself and still be professional. Like I think of one like Eric Thomas, motivational #1 motivational speaker in the world. When he walks out, he's what up? Most people be like, that's not professional, but he's still being
right. Mm-hmm.
So you can still do both. I had to ask that question because I was making sure that everybody knows that, like you said, when you were in Minot, you knew that you were not being yourself, and now you're in an environment that you can be yourself. And that's the key thing I want people to take away, that you can follow your purpose, follow your dreams, live your passion, and still be yourself and be professional at the same time. Exactly. Now I have to ask, because we all want to know. We got it. You're from North Carolina. You went to A&T with the drum line, just getting it in. And then you went to Minot. There's no drum line in Minot. Nothing about a drum line in Minot. Last time I checked, do they even have bands? I couldn't tell you. Do they got a football team? Is there HBCU? You know what? Let's forget all that. How did you get from North Carolina A&T, born and raised North Carolina, to the news in Minot, North Dakota?
One word, Billy: opportunity. Opportunity. To be honest, I didn't even know where I was moving. My mom, my mom kept saying, like, do you know where you just signed a contract to? She just kept asking me, you know, like she was happy, but she's like, do you know where you're going? Like you. And then my dad, on the other hand, is like, hey son, like my dad loves to research stuff, and like, hey son, they have this, that, and the third there. You know, you might like this, you might. And I didn't do any research, none of that. I was just so happy to have landed a job wherever. And so if it meant Minot, North Dakota, when does my flight take off? When do we leave? And so I tell people now, because people ask me all the time, like, oh, how did you get to St. Louis from you know, again, from like A&T and all that stuff? And I'm like, just take every opportunity that's out there. Like, don't let the fear of, I mean, granted, you know, me, Ernest, we're probably the only 2 black people out there, but it's like, don't let something like that, not even just about race, but don't let, you know, the lack of the lack of ability, or, you know, whatever insecurities you have, like, don't let that hold you back. Take it as me. I took it as like an adventure. I'm like, well, shoot, I'm about to go to North Dakota. This is about to be cool. Who can ever say? I tell people now, it starts conversation. I mean, you're just tickled. Like, who do I know from North Dakota? I'm probably, or Ernest too, but I'm like, who do you know from North Dakota? a black person at that. You know, so it's like it's funny, it's conversation starter and it's opportunity, and it sprung me to where I'm at now.
You said something that I live by. I say it's like now. Do whatever comes up, go now. Mm-hmm. And I refer to that as no opportunity wasted. Now, something pops up and you just said it. When opportunity comes, take advantage of it. Mm-hmm. Because as you keep saying, like Linda LB, I see you in the house. Thank you for joining us, Linda. Talking about opportunity. Yes, you have to take those opportunities. And it's funny you said that because my opportunity was similar. I was stationed in Barksdale, Louisiana. That's the Shreveport Bossier area. And we had an incident. I don't know if anybody remembers. That's when the B-52 flew over from North Dakota to Louisiana and had nukes on the plane. So now I was a training manager. So I was in charge of like all the different training stuff. So they were like, hey, we need you to go up there and inspect their training records to see where we went wrong. I went, Minot, North Dakota. Where is this at? I'm all on the map. I didn't even know it was an Air Force base up there. I'm all on the map looking. Because I know the map pretty well. I've heard of North Dakota, but Minot? I showed up there. I was there probably like 4 or 5 days. And the only thing that was in the back of my mind is like, I don't see anybody that looks like me.
Nope.
And the first time I saw it, somebody that looks like me, it's going to sound crazy to some people. We made a beeline straight for each other. Hey, man, what's going on, man? I'm BG. What's your name? Like, what you got going on? Hey, what's that to do around here? You going to have some food, some drinks? Like, let's go hang out. Let's meet up later on. You got work today? Like, people don't understand how much it is. And you said it earlier about how when you said your mom told you, like, no, you cannot do this. You're going to focus on something that you want to do, but you're trying to be in your comfort zone. And I tell people all the time, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because the funniest thing about Minot, North Dakota, and I've never said this out loud, and we probably never get me to say it again, it is actually a nice place.
Yeah.
It would be so shocking to you to believe that. It's actually a nice place. Now, get me wrong, minus the cold, because me and the cold don't get along.
Frigid.
But it's actually a nice place.
Frigid. Below cold.
Man, below cold. It's disrespectful cold.
Left and right hooks, just haymakers, just.
I got out the car. I was in the Explorer. I got out of the Explorer rental car. I didn't even have to shut the door because as soon as I opened it, the wind blew me up against the car and shut the door for me.
I swear.
I was like, this ain't cool. Like, I couldn't put on enough clothes. I couldn't put on enough clothes to even help myself. But no, I agree. I get it. And you said, so how does that work? Because you said when you were in working in the news in North Dakota, the things that you were reporting on, and you was like, this just isn't me. You're like talking about how we said earlier, mass shootings, like rest in peace to all the victims, praying for the families. When you're in North Dakota, and I've been up there, how does that atmosphere feel when you're reporting on these things that don't necessarily happen in North Dakota?
It made it hard. So for instance, while I was in North Dakota, the biggest thing was COVID. While things were when you're in places like North Dakota where it's like this third world country, like what happens in your little world, nothing else matters. And so when COVID was taking place on the East Coast and the West Coast and and Asia and everywhere else, it wasn't impacting North Dakota. And so they were like, screw the mask. Like, why are we following these rules? Like nothing's going on. Again, it's like that small town mentality, that small city mentality. Like whatever's happening outside has nothing to do with us. We don't care. But then when it hit, that's when it was like, it's almost like we tried to warn you, like now we turned into like, I think the number one state with the most cases after we were trying to warn. And so it became overwhelming because it's one of those like where nobody believes you until like it's got to be proof. It's got to be right here. Like if you're giving me $100, I need to see the $100 in your hand. Show me the $100 before I go and do what I'm about to do. And so that's what made it hard. Like even with the mass shootings and stuff like that will probably never happen up there because Anything can happen, but
Yep.
the schools were literally a size of 100, and that's K through 12. And
Wow.
so everybody literally knows everybody. So if you're out to kill someone, if you and Joe have an argument, you're going to take out Joe, and then you're going on with your day, And so that's just kind of how it's like, that small town mentality. But like you said, North Dakota is a great place. I always advertise and tell people to go check it out.
Man, you said something right there.
Mm-hmm.
That makes me wonder, because you come from North Carolina, you have this background. Because I tell people all the time, the biggest life hack in the world is not just leaving your block, not just leaving your city, but getting out of your state, and if possible, get out of your country.
Mm-hmm.
So you left North Carolina, you're in North Dakota, you can see the night and day. You saw what it was doing to you while you were doing the news.
Mm-hmm.
You knew this was your purpose, because I tell people all the time, like, you can have a purpose and still be in the wrong field of that purpose. Like, the best example I can give you, my wife is in childcare. She has a daycare, loves kids, loves helping kids along. But I also have a friend, more like a sister. She's a midwife. She helps deliver babies. All of it is about helping foster young individuals as they enter to the world. But if I swap them around, she probably would be miserable in a daycare, and my wife would probably be miserable delivering babies.
Mm-hmm.
And Malik just told you that he was in journalism. He was doing what he was here for, but it didn't line up with his purpose.
Mm-hmm.
He was doing something and it was not sitting right with him. It wasn't fulfilling him. And he took the opportunity, but somewhere along the line, another opportunity came up. How did it happen for you to realize this wasn't your purpose to be reporting that news and knowing that you needed something different? And how did that next opportunity unveil itself? Because you said it yourself in the beginning, God has been directing that path. And I believe that opportunity for the news in Minot was to help you be prepared for St. Louis. Mm-hmm. So how did that transition that path to get you to St. Louis?
I think, like I said, for me getting injured, I think God was seeing how would I react. And it was like a breath of fresh air when it happened. I was like, cool, what's next? Moved home, started applying for jobs. I was applying to 100 jobs a day, trying to get a TV job, didn't care where it was. And so my old manager was actually following me up in, I was playing in the Canadian Football League. She was kind of following my journey a little bit, and was like, the first thing she said when she got on the phone with me was, hey, I heard that you played about 5 hours north of here up in Canada, because the North Dakota border is right there, literally like 5 minutes from Minot. So she was like, hey, we heard that you were playing up in the CFL, it's cool. Like, I'm a big sports person. Connected that way. She gave me the opportunity. And so bam, I had that opportunity. I think God was trying to see how much of a kid would you be? How excited would you be that you got this opportunity? And, is it really, how exciting are you going to be for this blessing that I'm giving you? And I think he saw that I was super excited for it and was willing to take it full-fledged on, even though I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I think he brought me there to hone in on my craft, to learn, how to write for television, how to produce for television, how to talk on TV, how to do all that stuff in a very small space. But he also took me away from people that I was used to. I had never really been away from my family or away from my friends. And now here I'm going into the middle of the country, into Timbuktu, somewhere where there's no phone connection, no skyline, no nothing. It's literally in the middle of the desert, for all you, for lack of better words. So I think God was just trying to see, would I be diligent to that one thing? And while you're there, I'm going to sit you in silence. I tell people I was there in silence. Like, it was complete silence, metaphorically, but, complete silence while I was there. There was nobody to talk to, really, nobody to go home to, none of that. And so I feel like he brought me there to, again, teach me those things, but also show me that, hey, like, I've got you here. Now I'm going to show you better. You were diligent in this season of your life. I'm going to show you better. And so one day, during the pandemic, I was just like, man, this sucks. Like, I don't care about this job. I don't want to do this anymore. I mean, I was doing it because I was passionate, about, hearing from, the job of news. You get to talk to people all the time and, hear their stories. But I was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And so a good friend of mine named David Gibson, who's down in Texas now he's a sports anchor. He was kind of like, you should look into entertainment news, lifestyle. Like, that's more up your alley. Again, God blessed me with this person who I didn't even know, and put these words. I didn't even know what the heck that was. I'm like, I didn't even think I could do that. I'm like, entertainment? I'm like, oh, this is cool. Okay, whatever. So, long story short, I ended up looking into it and I was like, this is something I can do, but it's a very, very, very competitive field to get into, because while you have a million different news jobs, general assignment news jobs, there's probably 100 entertainment jobs that are willing to hire out of those, millions of people. And so I was already discouraged. I'm like, I don't have an entertainment sizzle reel, like y'all mentioned. I don't have an entertainment, reel. I don't have any of that. But again, I didn't let that, stop me. And so, yeah, there's more to that story. But yeah, I feel like God, like I said, just follow the path that God has for you. It might be weary sometimes, and it might seem to North Dakota, but you gotta just sit back and just listen sometimes, man. And it's hard, but you just gotta do what you gotta do.
Now, Malik, you basically told us to walk by faith, not by sight.
Yeah.
And so many of us, because everybody grew up with this saying, and I never agreed with it because I believe it didn't make sense when I was growing up. People used to always be like, you have to see it to believe it. You have to see it to believe it. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Because if you got to see it to believe it, then nobody would have ever made a car. Nobody would have made an airplane. Mm-hmm. Who built the first house? You got to see it to believe it. How can you do something you never seen?
Yep.
That's when it dawned on me. No, you have to believe it until you see it. Mm-hmm. Now you might not know exactly the path that God has you on. You might not understand it at the time. I was always taught, don't question him. But you have to follow the path because you believe it. You believe in him. You have faith in him. I know I do. And granted, I want everybody to understand. We're talking about God. I talk about all types of religion. But this, I want everybody to understand, like, I don't judge. You have your religion. All I ask that people understand that believe that there's a higher being. Mm-hmm. Whatever your being may be, me and Malik, I just happen to be God.
And not to cut you off, I tell people all the time, I'm like, I harp on it because that's what I believe in. I'm like, I don't judge anyone or bash anyone. I think some of the best, friendships come from people who don't even know, they're just, you're in life, and so yeah. And I was going to mention that earlier, but I'm like, if it's meant to come out, it'll come out. And so here you're talking about it. So
it always comes out. It's going to come out because that's the path we're on. Like, we don't know what's going to happen in 5 minutes. Somebody else does. We know who. And then when it happens, it's like, oh, that was great. Thanks. Mm-hmm. But it's the whole point that I want people to see. Like, you went into a field. Like, this one, I got to recap it. Because you started off not even worried about sports. Then you went into sports. Hey, I'm good at this. People like the entertainment that I'm providing them, and I'm good at it. They come to watch us play. Mm-hmm. We're entertaining them by winning. I'm going to a school that originally started back in the day because of that drum line, because they were entertaining people. Mm-hmm. Then that led you to somewhere else. You got to play in the CFL. Most people think NFL. There are multiple places. Remember I told you, there's multiple ways to still do what you love that's still alignment. It might not be NFL. It can be CFL. It can be AFL. It got all kinds of football leagues, basketball leagues. You got to play in the CFL. You were still entertaining. Then you went to news, but you weren't given the entertainment news. Like you said, nobody says, yes, gas is $10 a gallon. That is not entertaining at all. You say that, everybody's sad. I'm sad right now that it's over $4 a gallon in Texas. It hurts me. I say a prayer every time I fill out the car. I be like, God, let this car not get declined. Let it go through. These gas, I don't even go outside. It costs too much to go outside. I can't afford it. But anyway, it led you what? right back around to
Mhm.
your passion and purpose now, entertainment.
Mhm.
And you're like, I don't know what I would do if he take this away. And it's not about if he takes it away. You just keep following the path. But I don't want to get off that entertainment subject too fast, because everybody knows, everybody hears it from when we're growing up. Work, 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 take care of your family, get a career. But you can also have fun while you're doing it.
Mhm.
Now, a lot of people might not know, because I got kids. They play video games, play music, YouTube all day long. But there's one thing that I did recognize that the normal person might not. I see a gaming computer behind you. That leads me to believe that Malik is into gaming. He has the microphone set up and everything. So that means Malik doesn't just entertain while he's at work doing entertainment news. He must do some entertainment on gaming. And I'm not letting you go. See, got it. My son got all that. I told you, I can see it from here. So can you tell people how the gaming works for you, especially with the entertainment? Because that's another form of you entertainment, just yourself having fun with others. Or is there more to it? Do you have entertainment or gaming company? Are you going somewhere with it? How does that work in your life?
I think with the job, with the career that I'm in, I mean, opportunities are endless. Social media is God always supply.
I like that, Mama.
That's a good one.
I'm gonna have to use that. He gonna have to supply this gas. I think I'm getting close to a quarter of a tank. God is gonna supply the gas when I go to the gas station.
Oh man, that was a good one. That's good. That's good. But with the career field that I'm in, opportunities are endless. You know, because of social media and I mean, social media in itself, and like you can be seen by hundreds of thousands, millions of people just by one click. You know, and so I try to dive into all that. But I do it like in a. I'm not one of these people who is doing stuff to follow trends and stuff like that. Like I literally, like with my games and stuff, like me and my friends, we post videos and we make different episodes and stuff just out of the fun from our heart, you know, and people watch it and they gravitate towards it. It's not like I don't feel forced to do it, you know? And so that's kind of how my gaming is. Just got a notification there, but that's kind of how the gaming is. It's like it's a piece away from my normal job. I still get to edit, be creative, you know, have fun. And I don't know if you're in the gaming as well. I know you said your son is, but the computer rig is I used to play the console all the time, the Xboxes and the PlayStations. But if you invest in one of these, a good one, you know, that thing will last you a lifetime and you'll never have to upgrade it unless you're doing some internal stuff. But it allows your gaming to go to a whole nother world. And I'm actually glad you mentioned it because a lot of people don't talk about it. It's sometimes deemed as weird, you know, but it is what it is.
Well, I had to bring it up because I'm one of those individuals, especially when you got kids, and I'm talking to the parents now. When you have kids and they're showing you what their gifts are, what their purpose are, you have to invest in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because one of my kids, this is my second son, he's real big into gaming. And I had to sit back and watch and realize that the same way your mother and father did you, your dad was putting you in camps when football was going. Then when mom intervened and said, no, that's not right. You need to do this. Everybody has to do that because it takes somebody, as Malik said earlier, it always takes that connection that gets you to the next level. Mm-hmm. And that connection first starts in the home. And so when I had to realize that, my son actually went out. I didn't even know he had these skills. He built his gaming computer.
See, and that's something I don't know. I'm like, I wish I knew this when I was younger because there's so much, like, I'll be on the game now and there'll be like 16-year-olds and they'll be like, I'm like, oh man, my computer's doing this. Like, I don't know why. And they'll be like, oh, like if you could see the other side of this, like it's a whole clear, like, and I'm not sure how your son's is, but like on the other side of this is like a clear wall. And you can literally see all the internal like guts of the computer. And I'm like, oh, just unscrew this and 16-year-olds, 14-year-olds telling you like how to rebuild a computer. And I'm like, what? Like, how do you even know this? But I mean, and you hit on a good point. I tell people all the time, I'm like, I feel like, I think my generation was probably like the last, I'm 26, but I feel like my generation was the last generation where it was like, it was right to go to school. It was right to go to the military, or you're getting a 9 to 5. Like you have to, and then you had those few who just got that, just rare super talent that could just sing or were really good at sports and just took off, and that was just their destined path. Even as a kid, like that was just them all their life. But other than that, you had military, school, or 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And so I tell people now, I'm like, especially like the kids that I play with, I use this as like a platform to talk to them because I'm like, are you monetized in playing games at all? Like, I'm like, don't waste your time. I'm like, it's fun to play the game, but I'm huge on make money having fun of what you're doing.
Exactly.
Like it should be a game plan behind what you're doing. I mean, if I'm passionate about eating PB&Js every day, I want to learn how I can get monetized by eating PB&J. After a while, if it's a year of me and I'm like, oh, I can eat this PB&J or make the best PB&J. After a year, I'm like, how can I get monetized off of this? Maybe someone else needs to see this. Someone else needs to try this or whatever. So I tell people, do what you love. Like it's as simple as that. What you love is 9 times out of 10 your passion. And so money, and I hate to say it, money in a sense rules the world, but it shouldn't rule you, but you need money to live. You need money to take care of people. You need money to take care of those around you, put people in positions to do what they want to do.
Yes.
And so find ways to monetize the things that you love legally. Legally, legal stuff. But if you're good at selling drugs, find a way to make it legal and sell, water bottles. Take that, how you sold those drugs, put that into selling water or phones or something legal, So put that in fine print. Like, don't do nothing stupid, but
I like how you put that, because I couldn't have said it in a way better. Because when you love something, you're so passionate about it, there is a way for you to make money. You look at all the stuff that we have out in the world today. Mm-hmm. That all came about because somebody was passionate about it and they loved it and they created it and people bought it. Mm-hmm. And I want people to understand, like, just because you're passionate about something, it might be similar to something else, that doesn't mean you can't monetize it. If you don't believe me, next time you're in a grocery store, walk down the bread aisle and just stand there and look at all the different types of bread.
All the bread. You
can monetize it even if somebody does something similar. Why? Mm-hmm. Because you are the secret ingredient that they don't have. Exactly.
We're all made different. It was something I wanted to say off of what you just said. It takes money to make money too, man. Like, like I said, social media is this new realm of getting access to people quickly.
Yep.
If you don't know how to run social media, pay someone. Don't be afraid to. And I know money can be scarce sometimes. I mean, it gets low. It gets low. But don't be afraid to think about it not as paying someone. Think about it as investing back in yourself.
Yep.
So if I don't know how to work social media, Billy, I need your help. Hey, I see you do really good on YouTube videos, dog. Like, how much do I got to pay you? I don't have a lot right now, but I promise, you can even work out a loyalty fee. I promise, I got 100 for you right now, but if this pans out the way I think it is, believe it in yourself. If this pans out the way I think it is, you're going to be a paid man, Billy. We both are, just rock with me.
See, you just hit the nail on the head. Like, without saying it again, you just said, network with others. When you network, I'm telling you, your net worth will rise. And like Malik just said, he said, just rock with me, believe in me. Why? Because I can see where my belief is going to take us. Mm-hmm. Everybody thought the Wright brothers were crazy when they was running around trying to put wings on stuff, jumping off of cliffs and running down pathways trying to take off. But they had a group of people that just believed in them. And then they made a plan. People told Elon Musk he was crazy.
Dog.
Can you imagine? Think about this, Malik. Can you imagine? I just want your opinion on it. Can you imagine that person that was sitting in the house one day and looked at a group of friends, probably outside hanging out? No, it was a long time ago. And they just said, man, I wish I could talk to somebody that wasn't here. They probably looked at him and like, what are you talking? I know we talking, but I want to talk to somebody that ain't here. Like who, in heaven? No, I got a cousin that stay in California. I know we live in Florida, but I wish I could talk to them right now. That mail take too long. People probably thought he was crazy.
Yep.
And here we now got cell phones, all kinds of stuff. Now it developed into you way over there. Like, think about that for a second. Somebody in the cave was like, I want to write what my thoughts is. But they didn't have words. They started drawing pictures with clay.
You know what I hear the most L's, like losses, like now years later from adult, like older people, is the loss on the internet. A lot of people heard this internet thing was coming. You can shop online, you can send these internet mail, whatever the heck internet mail is, you can send that. You can talk to people in an instant. Like there was comments that people had, and they were saying like, why would I shop online when I can go in person? Or why would I send an email when I can call them? And now like they look back and they're like, what in the world? I've heard some people say that, and I don't know if this is true or not, but when the internet was trying to blow up, they were sending out mail to people telling them to invest in this, like just invest a little chunk to help this mission go.
Yep.
And people, and again, I don't know if this is real or not. It could have been a scam, but people were like, nah, like I'm not, again, why would I can drive 30 minutes to the mall right up the road. Why would I shop online? You know, why would I want anything mailed to me? Like clothes. How do you even mail clothes?
Well, I'm old enough to tell you that is true. I was younger, but I remember it came in the form of like, I'm telling my age. Back in the day, they used to mail you stuff, and you like this one thing they did. They were like, hey, you can get 12 CDs for $1. And you like check out the CDs you want. You run to your mom and them. Can I get these CDs? It's just for $1. And it started a subscription thing.
Yep.
So it came like that. Like it looked like what we call junk mail today. And I remember it because I was the person that used to check the mailbox. And so there was those mail things coming out as junk mail telling us to invest in this. It started with investing in computers first.
Yep.
And then it turned into the internet. Nobody took it serious. I didn't even know what it was. I just junk mail, threw it in the trash. I don't know if my mom ever saw it. Mama, if you didn't see it and I threw it away without giving us that opportunity, I'm sorry. I thought it was junk mail, but it won't ever happen again. And just believe I'm going to find a way to make it up to all the parents because I'm pretty sure I threw away a lot of junk mail.
He ain't gonna care about this one. $1 billion gone.
He already gave me $1 for the 12 CDs. I wasn't finna push it. I ain't finna keep asking for stuff.
Can we buy the internet? Can we buy the internet?
Like that? Not good. Like my mama said, we had gas. We was good, but we did like no, not doing that. But no, Malik, I gotta ask you because you said about the gaming and on YouTube, but at the same time you said about the show in St. Louis. How can people stay in touch with you? How can we watch the show? Or how can we see the game in the YouTube? Like, how can we stay in touch? Because there's somebody out there that might not have got a chance to see this right now. And they might watch it later. And they're like, man, Malik's amazing. Like, I want to talk to him. I want to watch him grow. Like, how can they get in touch with you?
So I think so Malik Wilson TV on just about everything. So that's MalikWilson TV, and that's pretty much on every platform. YouTube, well, not YouTube, but Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good jazz. So it's pretty simple, and you can reach out and say stuff. I'm not one of those people who don't talk back. So
I do this to everybody. I gotta ask. Now, with everything that you've been through in life, your transitions, the help, the ups and downs. What would you, because there's somebody out there that's watching this, what would you tell the 18-year-old, the 17-year-old, the 16-year-old you? What would you tell that individual to help them get not just where you are now, but to keep going into the future? What would you tell that person?
Whatever, like, start now. Don't wait. I think for the longest, when I was a kid, when I was younger, I would tell myself like, oh man, when I'm this age, I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to, well, not even be doing this, but I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to, start investing in this. I'm going to start, it's like all these excuses you make, it's these excuses that you make as to why you can't do it now. And so when you're younger, take advantage of that. I know not everybody's situation is great, but when I was a kid, I didn't have to worry about paying bills and all that stuff. My parents, made sure there was food on the table and all that stuff. So even if you're not in that situation, invest in yourself, start now. You can, and I hate to keep bringing up money, but you can honestly be a millionaire by 22, just in a few years. I think people gravitate towards kids more than they do, as you get older. It's almost like you get washed out as you get older, but that's not a reason to, to stop doing what you're doing. But invest in yourself young, start now, don't wait, start now, start now, start now.
Man, I couldn't have said it any better. I'm not even going to try to top that, because you gave it exactly what I tell people all the time, and I couldn't agree more. Start now, no opportunity wasted. Now, Malik, again, man, on behalf of the whole family, because you family, once you come over here, we all family. We want to thank you for being on the show, giving us your life, being so transparent. We appreciate all of you that you've done, that you are doing, not just in the community, but for the world. Man, I have to say on behalf of everybody, thank you, brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Billy. This has been an amazing honor. I appreciate you so much for bringing me on your platform. I felt bad in the middle of this. I was like, dang, I didn't even tell him thank you. But no, I appreciate you for bringing me on your show. This is a cool platform that you have, and keep rising, man. And we'll definitely stay in touch for sure. I can always tell genuine conversation. This was genuine, so definitely want to keep in touch with you, man.
We definitely gonna do that now. Now don't go nowhere, because I want to talk to you right after the show. So stick with me. But again, thank you, and we're gonna stay in touch. But until then, Malik, my brother, I'll see you on the other side, man. Man, I told y'all Malik was amazing. You didn't even think his story was going to lead the way it did, because that story happens more than you know, especially in our community. We go one route, especially with sports, rapping, whatever it may be. Or whoever you may be, everything that you start is not necessarily the path that you're supposed to take. That's just the path you're on to get to the next level. It's like climbing stairs. You'll never go nowhere if you stay walking on the same step. You have to keep going up and up and up. And Malik just showed you how throughout his life, every time he had to take another step, it was a different turn. He didn't know where it was going, but it led him to where he's supposed to be. So I want y'all to remember what he said. In order for that to happen and you to take that get to where you want to be, you must at least take the first step. And Malik said it best. You have to take it now. No opportunity wasted. Take advantage of all your opportunities and don't leave one on the table. Again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Again, rest in peace to all those that have went through something traumatic recently, the loved ones, the family members, the victims. We're going to be still praying for you for nothing but strength and health, and help you do better over these times. But again, thank you for everybody that's tuning in. We can't wait to see you next week, same time, Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, because like we said on this show, we want you to develop on purpose every day, because that's what makes you so dope, because you develop on purpose every day. So continue to do that. And the only way you can do that is to continue to live in your purpose, with purpose, on purpose. I love y'all, and I'll see y'all next week.
I'm back.
Every time I walk out that door, every time I interact with anybody new, my purpose is to help change.
It's time to celebrate life. If you know that you're in charge of your life, it's time to stand up. If you know you want better for your life, it's time to stand up. If you know that you have what it takes to be in charge of your life, it's time to stand up. If you know that you are not just trying to be good for you, but for those around you, it's time to stand up. As a matter of fact, look to the person to your left and tell them you are enough.
I want to help you change, and just like you change, every time I interact with somebody, they help me change. It's no different than if I met an individual and they had 4 quarters and they needed change, or if I had $1 and they had 4 quarters, I need to change. We can swap the money. The value is still the same. They still got $1, I still got $1, but we both exchanged something, and it was a change for both of us. So every time I walk out that door, I inspire to help change lives just as much as lives have changed me.
Y'all been listening to the wrong people, watching the wrong things all your life, and it's time to put to rest all those negative thoughts, because you are enough. It's time to put to rest that self-doubt, because you are enough. It is time to get rid of that negative energy, because you are enough. It is time to stop listening to people that don't have the best interests of you in your life, because you are enough. So let's have a moment of silence. I want everybody to understand that you are the person that's in charge of your life. Everything that you have inside of you to be who you're supposed to be in life. You have a destiny, and that destiny can only be accomplished through you, by you, and only you, with the help of God. When you realize that you are the person you are, because you're not a carbon copy, there's only one you. They try to put you in a box. Society tries to put you in a box, but you can't be in a box. How can you be in a box when there's only one you? But then they tell you, think outside the box. What I'm trying to get you to understand is there is no box.
I want to pass on the things that I have to the generations behind me. By the time it's time for me to get called home and go to the grave, I want to be empty. I believe in bankrupting the cemetery, so I can't take this knowledge with me, because the cemetery is already full of brilliant ideas and unwritten books and innovative ideas. I can't take this with me, so I'm trying to leave it all here as Billy Graham Jr. to the next generation so somebody else can carry it on.